So my name is Steve Carrigan. I work at the Gallagher Bluedorn Performing Arts Center. And we're here today to talk about a really cool collaborative effort that we have working with many of the performance-centered cultural agencies here in the Cedar Valley. And if you haven't had the experience, you should know that the Waterloo and the Cedar Valley are both blessed with cultural institutions that are very strong. There are cities that are 5 or 10 times our size that would be happy to have what we have. And I think sometimes we take that for granted, and I think sometimes we don't celebrate it as we should. And one of the ways that the Gallagher Bluedorn likes to celebrate is work with our partners on projects. And so every year we do 2 or 3 projects where we reach out to partners and we collaborate. And we collaborate in the best sense, where they take part and they bring their best and we bring our best, generally to do projects that none of us could do on our own. And I think this is one of those kinds of projects. And so the notion of this project came really almost more than 2 years ago, pre-COVID. And we were just taking a look around. Our Broadway shows have been very popular. We know that actors in the community love Broadway. We know patrons in the community love Broadway. We also know that working with our own theater department and music department, we'd had great success at producing professional level Broadway stuff. And we thought if we could reach out to our community folks, our community partners who have had that same experience, maybe together we could do something bigger than any of us could do on our own. And so we started working on it and it's taken lots and lots of people working on it. But one of the things that's developed, and you're going to see that in a moment, is we have sort of a dream team. We've been able to put together just a really wonderful creative team, drawing on the resources of the Gallagher, the Waterloo Cedar Falls Symphony, Waterloo Playhouse, of course, Black Hawk Theater, and then CFCT, the Cedar Falls Community Theater. And it's just, I have to tell you, it's amazing how quickly everybody put aside any kind of of turf or any of that stuff and just focused on this production that I think will be great. I think it will be as great as anything that's ever been on the Gallagher stage. There's a TV commercial going around lately, and you hear some of the actual singing, and I will tell you, it's absolutely as good as anything else we've ever put on our stage. And it's all produced with people from right here. And it's a tribute to, again, the cultural agencies of our community, but also, frankly, the people of Waterloo and all the talent we have amongst us. So with that, I'm going to pass it to my colleague, Rich Freevert from the Symphony. He's only one office over, even though we're on Zoom. And he's going to talk a little bit about the Symphony, what's up and coming for them, and also their critical part in this project.
Thanks, Steve. Yeah, I'm really excited about this collaboration. It was an honor to be invited to participate, have our organization participate. It's a little bit out of the norm of what we do, but is also a great opportunity for us to provide music for this outstanding production. We have, it's actually a pretty interesting combination of musicians that are going to be playing in the pit for the show. Combination of our some regular Waterloo Cedar Falls Symphony members, and also some more freelance type of players that we put together. So it's going to be a real treat for them to come together from, 2 worlds that don't always intersect, and different aspects of the music community. So we're going to be, like I said, we're going to be in the pit. I think there's 15 or 16 different musicians that are going to be performing with the cast, and it's just really this is really a case, I think, of all boats rise, because we're collaborating and working together, and it's just really exciting. And I think it's really good for the community. It's good for the funders in the community. They really like it when we work together, and we really like it too. So it's just it's a really good all boats or all people win in this one, I think. So as far as what's going on with the symphony, we are really happy to be up doing full orchestra concerts again. We had our youth concerts yesterday, and we had about 3,000 kids come through the Gallagher Bluedorn and see the full orchestra yesterday. And the musicians are just so enthusiastic about being back together and being able to play again on a regular basis. And so it's really exciting for us to be back, and we're making plans for next season that we'll be announcing here in the coming weeks. But I can talk specifically about our summer series this year. We have 3 concerts in our summer series. The first one is on June 4th, and that's going to be at the River Loop in downtown Waterloo. That's going to be a light classical kind of concert. And then the next one is the Mayor's Fireworks. And that's something we've done over the last few years. And we're excited to do that again. That'll be an all patriotic concert, marches and 1812 overture. And just kind of that when you think of summer on the mall in Washington, D.C., we do our own little version of that here. So we're excited about that. And then we're going to repeat that same concert the next day. That's going to be in Waverly at the Coleman Park along the river, along the Cedar River. And then in September, over Labor Day, we're really happy to be back in Cedar Falls at the new River Place Plaza stage and in downtown Cedar Falls. And that's going to be a program focusing on jazz. In fact, it's called All That Jazz. So there'll be some Ellington, and there'll be a couple of our soloists from the orchestra will be doing pieces that are rooted in jazz. And so it'll just be a really fun outdoor evening. All of these concerts are free and open to the public. And so it's just come out, bring your lawn chair, and just enjoy the evening and enjoy the great music. And for next season, I can give you just one little teaser, I guess, about what we're doing next season. We'll be having several large orchestra concerts. Again, we're just really being celebratory about coming back together with the full orchestra. So we're going to have a mixture of classical large orchestra concerts along with pops. We're going to renew our New Year's Eve show. And a common thread that's going to be going across the whole season is we're going to be featuring a lot of work by African-American composers, African-American artists. It's going to go through our education program as well. And just really, a year ago, this time, I guess it was a little bit later in the year, we were doing a lot of soul searching, and a lot of organizations were in the wake of the George Floyd situation in Minneapolis. And our industry in particular is an industry that I think has been maybe a little bit behind the times in addressing the presence of African-American artists. And so our industry is really, and I think they're in a lot of cases just doing some really great work in trying to change the face of classical music and of orchestral music. And we're jumping in with that with both feet, because we as an organization, we just really feel like that the talk is fine and the statements are fine, but we really need to take action and really have some things that are happening on the stage that will promote positive change. The main project next year is actually supported by the Waterloo Community Foundation, and we're really happy about that. Is called The Evolution of African-American Music. And this is a jazz singer from Chicago, Bruce Henry, who comes in and does residencies. We're working on funding for that right now. There will definitely be a residency in the Waterloo schools. We're working on one for the Cedar Falls schools. Bruce will be on our youth concerts, again, talking about the evolution of African-American music. And then he will also be a guest artist on our last concert of the year, which will have a kind of a Motown, soul, funk, classical Black composers. So it's just going to be a celebration all year of that. And we're really pleased about how this is lining up. And it's just really, really important work. And I think it's going to have a really big impact in the community. And so we're really excited about that. So that's kind of what's going on with us. We're, we've weathered the storm, I think, as well as we could. There have been challenges, like there have been challenges for everybody in town, and no matter what capacity you're working. But I think we're coming out wiser. I think we're coming out with some things that we didn't do before, that we did kind of out of necessity, that have become really positive things in our organization. So we're coming out strong, and I think we're doing fine, and just ready to get back and serve the community some more. So I'll turn it back to Steve.
Hello, I'm back again. I wanted to pass this off to Greg, who's our colleague from Waterloo Playhouse, and the director of the show. Greg?
Sure. We had this idea a while ago, and then we had that little shutdown thing that happened to us. And so we've had to kind of readjust and do it a little bit later than we planned. But it's been really nice to, we've all kind of gotten back in our own way before this, but I feel like this is the final kind of collaborative sort of event that is bringing us all back, and theater happening again in the Cedar Valley. There's so many things going on now, like all the stages. As we rehearse here, we keep trying to find different places to rehearse. We rehearse sometimes at Gallagher Bluedorn, sometimes at CFCT, sometimes at WCP. And here at WCP, we've got 2 other rehearsals and going on, and a show that's currently running. So we're just trying to find stage space where we can and the cast has to be flexible. We say, tonight we're rehearsing at such and such, and they just have to be able to know where we're going. But we have a cast of 42 people, and they come from over a dozen different towns as far away as Clarksville and Eldora and Independence and Sumner and Conrad and Buckingham. And so it's just been really a wonderfully collaborative process, not just for the organizations involved, but for the cast and for our really superior crew. We've got an amazing number of our artists working with us, not just in the acting capacity, but in all of the other realms as well. Bill Close is doing the set design for us, and he does an amazing job at building really large scale things. And he's been constructing all this stuff at North Star Community Services, which is giving us space, because that's the thing, trying to find space for all these different things going on, the elements. And we've got a costumer who, Jana Fairbanks, is from, mostly works here at Waterloo. And we've got some props people, Sharon Kelleher and Lori Adams, that work mostly with Cedar Falls Community Theater. We've got an amazing lights and sound team that comes from Gallagher Bluedorn, some really amazing people working there. So it's just a lot of different parts that are coming together. The accompanist that we have is amazing. Our music director is Ryan Ochoa, and he is a music teacher at Central Middle School, and he's doing an amazing job. Christine Dornbush is our choreographer, and she's got them all working. So it's just, if those of you that know Joseph know that it is nonstop singing and dancing. There's not like parts where people stop and talk and get, pontificating about it. It's just nonstop singing and dancing. And so there's this music from wall to wall, and that's been a large amount of what we've been putting together. So it's a high energy cast. They're doing a really, really nice job. Very impressed and very proud with them all. It's been fun working with John Luzich over at Cedar Falls Theater, and he and I are the ones sort of putting this whole thing together. When you have a really, really talented cast, that's the 80% of the job of a director is getting a good cast. And if you get a good cast together, then it makes everybody's job so much easier. And we've got a lot of enthusiastic folks and quite a range of ages. And it's going to be a really good production. I'm excited about it. It's going to be so fun to collaborate with the symphony orchestra. That's a rare gift. And so everybody that I know is really thrilled to be a part of this process. We are doing an open rehearsal. If anybody's interested in coming this Saturday, the 9th, from 4:30 to 5. It's an open rehearsal that we put together for the friends of the Gallagher Bluedorn, but if anybody from this group wants to come to the Gallagher that day, kind of watch a little preview of what we're working on, they're more than welcome to do that. So that's pretty much it from our end. And I can talk more about what we're doing or how much fun the pandemic was for us later if you need.
No, talk about it now.
Talk about it now?
If you're ready, if you can. Let's hear the
Well,
story.
it was, we had a show ready to open in 3 days when we officially shut down. And that show then kind of drug along for a long time. We finally did it in the middle of the summer. That was Church Basement Ladies. And then we kept trying to get a show ready because the show takes 6 to 8 weeks to get ready. And so we kept saying, when we come out of the pandemic, we want to be ready. And then that was a real big headache. But officially, since we've come out, we've done really well with our last set of shows. We did Elf over Christmas time. That went really well. Rocky Horror Show went really well. And then our upcoming season, I don't know if you can all see that. What we're working on right now, we've got Judy, Moody, and Stink on stage. Clue is coming up next. Pinocchio after that. Footloose, our big summer musical, will be Footloose. And then we're doing 2 plays in rep, a children's play called Elephant and Piggy. It's a musical. And Always Patsy Cline. Those will be in rep late September, early October. And then we're doing Shrek, the musical, for our big Christmas, or actually it starts around Thanksgiving, sort of the holiday show for all those kind of things. So that's a lot of fun. And during the pandemic, actually, I was fortunate enough to work with a local artist named Paco, who has spray painted the Sistine Chapel. You probably know him, on the ceiling of his restaurant. And he and I put together some movies, and we've been working on that. But I feel like we end up using a lot of people. We do use a lot of people from the area, and they're non-professionals like we are. And they are, when it comes to movie making. And so to me, that's an extension of community theater that we're doing, not just on the stage, but we're doing it, turning it into a film. And it also, I think, highlights Waterloo, Cedar Falls, the whole Cedar Valley, showing that you can make some kind of fun movies here with some people, and that there are a lot of talented folks. And we hope to be able to continue some of that too. So it's not just stage shows, but movies as well, that we can really feature the vast amount of talent that we have in this area. It's very impressive.
Cool. I think we'll finish out the round robin with John Luzatz. John, would you share a little bit about your role in the show? I'm not sure if people know what a production stage manager is, for example. And then talk about how you weathered the storm and how you guys are on fire now.
Sure. Thank you, Steve. Good to see everybody here, Rich and Greg. Yeah, it's really been a fun, collaborative, creative process. As the production stage manager, I'm kind of involved early on throughout the whole process. But my real job is helping to call cues. And once we're open on stage, we have paid public performances. It's my job to make sure the show runs smoothly. So I'm communicating with the conductor, the guys on the fly rail, the fly system. They pull the rope and scenery goes up and down. I'm on with the sound person running the soundboard engineer, the lighting engineer, and calling cues and trying to make sure the show happens smoothly. And so Greg and many other people, as he mentioned, the vocal director and the choreographer, do a lot of work to get the show up and running to performance. And once we're to performance, I'm on backstage helping to make sure it runs smoothly so I don't goof up all the great work they did. So I'm having a lot of fun. President John F. Kennedy once said, "We all do not have equal talent, but we all should have the equal opportunity to develop our talents." And that's what we, all 4 organizations, jointly combined working on this project, we're providing opportunity for people to develop their talents. So every time I go to rehearsal, I'm in a good mood. I'm excited. I'm having fun. And the cast, the actors, singers, dancers, they're having fun as well. They show up the first month. It's a lot of work. They're learning their songs, all of the words, the lyrics and the songs, a lot of hard work. Now this last month, they're showing up and they're really having fun, and they're, buddy and having a good time. And so as Greg said, it's really taken a lot of people to put this together. And we have a lot of committees that you don't see in the background. And it started with Steve organizing the producing committee. And there were a number of people, several from the GBPAC and Gallagher Bluedorn, and the other three organizations that started meeting 2.5 years ago. And then, of course, as Greg and Steve both said, we had to take a little hiatus because of the pandemic. But we've been meeting and talking about this for a long time as a producing team. Then the production team, many of the people that Greg mentioned, props, lights, sound, director, choreographer, vocal director, stage manager, scenic designer, all those people are the production team. And we've had a number of meetings over the last couple of months to make sure we're all communicating and the show's going to get done properly. And then we've had a marketing committee, also representatives of all four organizations, led by the Gallagher Bluedorn's Chris Hale. And they are the marketing manager with the GBPAC, and Anita Ross with Waterloo Community Playhouse, executive director, and Blake Argetsinger representing the symphony, who's out in Oregon, but zooms into our meetings, and myself. So we've had a lot of people involved for about 3 months now. We had auditions early in January, the first week in January. And now we're coming up mid and late April when we come up to performance, April 22nd and 23rd. Get your tickets, gbpac.com/Joseph. But now we're really having a lot of fun. Still a lot of hard work, but we're having a great time showing up to rehearsals. And we really hope, tickets can start at $20 and up from there. But I think, Steve, last I heard Sunday, we had about 2,600 tickets sold. But the Gallagher Bluedorn seats 1,680. We are doing 3 performances, so plenty of seats to be had. But we're having a lot of fun.
So I want John to talk a little bit about his experiences with COVID and how they've reopened. But I did want to just to update him because we're just under 3,000 tickets sold. And when we have the orchestra pit in place, we're a little smaller. We lose about 125 seats. So it's actually starting to get kind of close. Some of the best seats have been sold. And so we are selling between 70 and 100 tickets a day, with some days going way over that. So while there are still seats available for all 3 shows, you might want to think about ordering them if you plan on going. So tell us about the coming out of COVID, John.
Sure. Actually, COVID was really a good time for us to be shut down because we had started a capital campaign to raise $1.5 million. And that was about 4.5 years ago. It's a 5-year campaign, so we're coming up towards the end of that. And we had done a lot of the fundraising, had written a lot of grants, and so we had money in place to do some projects. Most arts venues, difficulty is trying to schedule when you can get those projects finished, because as Greg was talking about, you're always auditioning one play in a rehearsal room and you have another play going on stage. And so it's hard to find the space and the time to complete capital improvement projects. Well, when we were shut down because of COVID, we worked on 5 different projects. We replaced our cyclorama, which is kind of like a movie screen, but it's material that's hung all the way upstage so you can project lights or images on that. So we replaced our old ripped painted cyc with a mechanical roll drop cyc that was installed by SMI, a company in Minnesota. And we got rid of our old structurally unsound genie lift and bought a new snorkel aerial lift that'll get us up and down safely to focus lights and get it up all the way up to our grid over the stage area. We replaced all of the carpet throughout the whole building, from the backstage dressing room area to the auditorium and balcony, the front lobby area. So we had a number of projects we were working on. And it was great because we were closed. And kicking the whole thing off, we replaced the whole facade on the first floor, the front, the Main Street side of the Oscar Region Theater. All the doors, all the windows. The only thing we didn't replace was brick, but everything else was fair game. So we had old rotting windows. Well, the windows weren't rotting, but the wood was. So we replaced all that stuff, and that was about $105,000 project. So we did a lot of that work when we were closed, and then, hey, we could reopen. So we reopened with some new lighting instruments, light board, mechanical roll drop psych, and a new facade, and people came in and, ooh, yeah, this is kind of cool. So the timing was good for us because we could do a lot of projects while we were closed. However, for a lot of live performance venues, meaning arts, theater, and music venues all around the country, quite a few of them couldn't make it and did not survive the pandemic and closed permanently. So we had applied for SVOG funds through the government, the SBA, and that's the SVOG was Shuttered Venues Operators Grants. And we were successful, as many organizations around the country were. About 12,500 arts organizations received funding. However, about 5,000 were denied. Fortunately, we were one of them that was not denied, were approved, and that funding helped us reopen. So we are doing well now. We're ramping up, and because we were closed, we get a lot of calls. Hey, can we rent the theater? You know, we have a project. We have something we'd like to, whether it's a concert or a wedding or whatever. We do a lot of rentals at the Oscar Region Theater, and we don't have a lot of space on our calendar because, as Greg was talking about, everything that was closed in our venue, we had to shelve off a number of months. Plus reschedule things that we had to cancel. So we're overly booked up and super busy, but it's fun to be busy.
So before we start taking questions and things, I thought maybe we just give you a little taste, a little test of some of the singing from the show. And I will tell you that the great thing about these collaborative projects is people get to do big work. So sometimes we're constrained by our own budgets, by our own talent pool, by the size of our venues. And when we come together, we can dream bigger and have a larger cast and engage more deeply. And, you know, Bill Close is building the set he always wanted to build because it's giant, right? He loves giant work. And when you see his set, I can tell you it's one of the best sets we've ever seen on our stage. But I love the big work. But anyway, I'm going to give you a little taste right now of what the show feels like.
Far away, someone was weeping, but the world was sleeping. Any dream will do.
I know, very short.
Actually, can I jump in real fast here,
Sure.
Steve? That is Mark Faulkner, who's singing and playing Joseph, and he is a graduate from Wartburg's School of Music, and he does have an amazing voice. And also just the hair in the video is different because back then the hair didn't look quite like that. So we did some of these promo shots before we were fully ready, but we have a wonderful, great human hair wig for him, and he looks amazingly like he came from that time.
Great. Cool. Are there any questions, or do you want to add anything, community partner foundation buddies?
Yes, I would just like to say that I think this is fantastic. When we look at what's been happening in the world, to be able to come together and to enjoy a production of this magnitude, and to have it done through collaboration of both Waterloo and Cedar Falls, really creates what we call the Cedar Valley. And I'm very proud that your organization was able to pull us off for 2 years to make this happen. I will be there. I don't know in the front row, but I will be there. Listening to the listening audience of the Waterloo community, Windows on Waterloo, if nobody else has questions, I will throw some questions at our sponsors of this production. When you're looking at pulling this together, what was some of the greatest challenges? And I heard somebody says, I think they said Steve was the one that brought it up and was trying to get people together. So what was some of the greatest challenge? And I say that even though I felt through your presentation, there wasn't a challenge, because when it was brought up, everybody wanted to do it. They wanted to serve our community. But just in case, what were some of the challenges?
So if it's okay, I'll start with this one. Because actually, you're actually right. There was never a question of, was it a good idea? Almost immediately, because look at the people who are on and the people you just heard from. They all started, these are people who see possibilities every time they wake up, right? And so that was never the question. One of the challenges was everybody's already doing a lot. And you heard that as people talked about what they're doing right now. So how do you carve out a time to do a major project without hurting any of the other big stuff that they're doing? And so finding that sort of space, creating that space is what had to happen. But I think folks saw the value in it. It's my hope that this is just the first of what could be every once in a while we do this project with a new show. And when we find stuff that is compelling enough to bring us together, we find more causes to do this big work. I bet you there are a ton of artistic challenges. Anything you guys want to talk about?
Well, one thing that's causing me a lot of time trying to coordinate is how we're going to get this massive set that's been built at North Star transferred over to GBPAC. And that we have a local sponsor, Brian Blonigan Molinaro, who is basically renting us a 18-wheeler to load up and bring a couple loads over. So it's a little trickier, things like that, just getting everything into that space. And being able to use the space is tricky because normally we rehearse on the set, and this set is big and it has lots of steps, and choreographers like to use the steps ahead of time. Directors like to be able to block people in the places they're going to be. And what we've done basically is tape out the stage and say, okay, there's going to be steps here and this will happen. And actors like to work all this too several weeks before they have to suddenly do it. So we're working on a slightly smaller time frame, because once the set gets up, we have about a week, I think, to work on it, which is a lot more time than we usually would have with Gallagher's schedule. Normally we don't get until a day or two ahead. So we do have that week, and we're going to be putting it to maximum use. But that's a bit of a challenge working on a flat surface on what's going to eventually be at least 4 feet high platformage, and all the other pieces that are going to be working around. Right now they're dancing in places where I go, there's going to be a tree here. And you folks are dancing right in the middle of a tree. But once the tree is there, then they're going to just have to adjust, and we'll just figure it all out.
And for the folks who are watching, the set he's talking about is really amazing. Every once in a while, I think we've all done shows where the curtain comes up and the audience goes, ooh, before the first note is sung. And Bill Close has outdone himself. I saw some of the early models, and I'll tell you, he's a remarkable artist, and he's sculpting large scale and very creative. There's inside jokes in his work. I mean, it's really something. So we're not talking about small obstacles. We're talking about big challenges.
I'll just comment a little bit on the music side, because you think about the music in the pit, and you kind of think, well, the musicians come in and the music is on the stand and they read it down, and it just kind of happens. But there's actually more moving parts to this than you might think. We ordered the music, or received the music quite a while ago, actually 4 or 5 months ago. And there's a whole coordination process between our music director, Jason Weinberger, who's going to be conducting the pit in the show, and the director of the chorus that is working with the actors on stage. The rehearsals, they've the chorus has been rehearsing for a while now, for several weeks now. And then we will basically have 3 rehearsals to put the orchestra together with the chorus and make all of that work. So it's quite a process to get the moving parts of just the musical side of it. That a lot of people, it's really interesting to me. I mean, and I think when people want to learn about, kind of what's going on behind the scenes and how all this comes together, that's a process that they don't often think about, I think. So anyway, it's been fun and very informative for us.
It's going to be quite an adjustment when that day comes when the symphony is suddenly playing for them instead of just one piano, which is what we've been practicing with since January.
Yeah, and the cast, when we told them when we're going to have the Sitzprobe, and for people that don't know, Sitzprobe is all of the actors that sing with the orchestra. So it's the first time the singers get together with the orchestra and just to sing through the music. And it's always exciting when we told the cast, we're going to be doing this. You're not going to be having a rehearsal one day. We're going to sit with the orchestra. They were all really jazzed. I mean, really excited. Oh, cool. Yeah. So they're looking forward to it. But again, it's a lot of work for the conductor, the vocal director, and the actors because they're going to have to listen. So, that'll be a challenge, but it's exciting. They're looking forward to it. Another challenge that Greg and I had was from day one when the show was cast, we were short a few actors, and we actually cast some actors that ended up having to drop out of the show. And for instance, you can't blame somebody. One of them, they got a job in Minneapolis as the marketing manager at the Guthrie Theater. So that person got a new job and was not going to be here at showtime. So we had to recast that role. So people don't drop out of the play because, I don't think I'm having fun. I don't want to do it. They have other challenges or work commitments that might not allow them to be in the show as much as we need them to rehearse. So the challenge that the vocal director, choreographer, and Greg as the director have is we always have some conflicts. So ahead of time, as soon as we cast the show, we ask people, okay, between now and performance time in April, what are your conflicts? Work conflict, travel conflict, spring break conflict. When can you not be at rehearsal? And the challenge is always to work rehearsal with some of the actors that are missing. And then when they come back, they have to catch up on what they missed, whether it's music or choreography. So the choreographer, Christine, has done a great job of taking videos of dance rehearsal. And then we have a closed Facebook group that people can log on if they're involved in the show and watch the dance rehearsal that they missed so they can kind of catch up themselves. So that's always a challenge. And Greg, as a director, knows well, there are always actors that have conflicts and miss some rehearsals in every single show we have. So we're not members of Actors Equity, the professional stage union, where the stage managers and actors are part of the union, and they have 4 weeks to work on the show, and then they're performing in front of a paid public audience. We're rehearsing a lot more than 4 weeks, but because of all the conflicts, Greg put the rehearsal schedule together, and there was a lot of open time on the calendar where we didn't have rehearsals because we had a lot of conflicts those days. So it's challenging to start once you cast the show in January and the show is in later April. But the cast has done a great job with it, and director, choreographer, and vocal director have put a lot of hours in working with this great cast.
Excellent. My next question is, anytime I collaborate with any organization or other individuals, I'll walk away with nuggets that will help me the next time that I decide to go into a collaborative engagement. Can you guys tell us one thing or two that you learned through bringing on this massive project through the collaboration part?
Sure, I'll go ahead. One thing I've always tried to do is, when I was a younger person, it's easy to get upset, get mad, attack somebody, get on somebody for doing something. And the older I get working with this collaborative process, especially, don't attack the person, attack the process. So figure out, okay, what went wrong? What do we do to make it right? And let's move forward. You don't hold a grudge on something. You just, let's move forward. Because always in the arts, it's what's in the best interest of the show. Not in the best interest for me to hold a grudge and complain about somebody. Okay, we solve the problem, we move forward. What's in the best interest of the show? And our creative teams that I've been on with this show all have that in mind. The marketing team, the producing team, the production team, what's in the best interest of the show? Let's move on. Let's get past it. Let's go forward.
Well, for me, it's like we tend to work insularly. We're all doing similar things in our own little organization, and we're all meeting the same challenges and the same issues. We run into things. And so it's really nice to kind of reach outside that and to see that, just reaffirm that what we already knew, that we are going through similar processes and gathering, assembling a team and putting together a show, et cetera, et cetera. And even if it's Gallagher that doesn't usually do their own shows, they're still dealing with trying to bring in people and the whole technical aspect of making a show work. And so that's been comforting to me, just to have us all kind of doing it together as a project that we're all working on together, instead of each of us in our own little insular groups trying to promote our own thing, if that makes sense.
The one thing that I've learned with collaboration is you have to bring everything you got. And that's sometimes hard, right? When we're in resource-starved situations, there's sometimes a tendency to want to hold things close, right? And so it almost feels contrarian to say, well, here's everything I have. Can you bring everything you've got? And that kind of choice enables work that's impossible any other way. And I will say with this project in particular, I'm reminded you have to trust your partners. I know Greg, I've seen his work. I've seen what he's done. I believe he can be great and help these actors be great. I've seen many of these actors in different shows in the community. I've certainly heard the symphony many times. I mean, you have to trust them, even to do work that they haven't done before. And you hear it in this, this interview has actually been kind of fun for me, unexpectedly, because I'm hearing exactly the same thing we heard at the beginning of the project, which is no one's talking about how hard it is or what we can't do. It was all a series of problems to be solved, and we are overcoming each one of them as they come up. Listen to Greg talk about, the size of the set and building it and not rehearsing on set. I mean, these are problems he came to, solved, and just kept going. There was no emergency meeting. He didn't, throw up his hands. It's inspiring to me. And as I look at my partners that are representing today, it just makes me feel good. It makes me feel good that we're a strong community as cultural presenters. I think it makes me feel good that the Cedar Valley is so well served with the talent we've accumulated.
I think for me, it's been a learning experience, and I'm just amazed after 40 years in the business or whatever it's been for me, that every day you learn something new, and that's certainly been the case with this project, and to really be involved in the meetings and the dialogue and how much work back and forth has to happen to make a show happen on a theater stage has been really educational for me, and I just really enjoyed it. I had not worked with Greg before, and John just a little bit, but to really see into their world was just fascinating. I think it's going to make us a better organization for having done that.
one last piece of collaboration I want to talk about, and that is all the people that have supported to make this project possible fiscally. And of course, the Waterloo Foundation has been one of our key supporters in that work. And I don't know if you realize it, the tickets pay for a good chunk of what a show costs to put on. But there's an awful lot that doesn't get covered with those ticket prices. And so grants and sponsorships, they make a huge difference. And so when a business steps up and gives us the seed money, or the Waterloo Foundation, gives us that money that serves as a catalyst to enable the whole project, it's a way for donors, it's a way for foundations, and it's a way for donors to the Waterloo Community Foundation to really reach out and change the cultural landscape. With a small gift, you can sometimes enable this entire project. And again, it's collaboration, right? This is how we solve things. This is how we get things done. And foundations and funders and individuals, they're all part of that process, and they're a key partner.
Well, is it on? Mm-hmm. We're always happy to fund projects that bring us together, because one of the things that when the foundation was funded, it was organized. It was about how can we bring people together? How can we use the resources to make sure people realize that the Cedar Valley is very important and we care. And I think one of the things that's so important is the arts. I think the art can bring people together, get them to talking, get them to see things differently. And I think this project is outstanding. And so that leads me to my next question. And that is, what is the next project?
So
I think we're gonna come and paint Steve's garage.
How about something easier, like a poetry festival? No, that's really hard to answer because we haven't done it yet. So when we've done collaborations with other groups and things like that, we always give it, a couple beats so everyone can catch their breath again. But then we ask that same question, Mickey. It's, what did we learn? How can we be better? Do we want to do something like this or something different? Maybe one partner's got another project they need to pursue. They can't participate. So the next iteration will be something different. I think I will say the most important thing about that meeting after the project is that we keep talking and we keep working, and it sets the stage for future work and a relationship. And so, and we've already, we live in a small enough community of cultural folks that Gallagher hires some symphony musicians every once in a while, and Rich always helps us find the best of them. I don't know how many times we borrowed costumes from Greg's or rented costumes from Greg's shop, but it's a great tool. John Luzich and I went to conferences together and shared a hotel room to save money. I mean, this is not a group that does not get along. But I think sometimes we get so caught up in our own little worlds that we don't take time to have those conversations. And so as long as we keep having those conversations, there will be something next.
Right.
Yeah, and hopefully we can do something again in April, because, the month of March, it's all about basketball, men's and women's basketball. It was, March Madness. Well, you know what? The month of April, I call it Arts Madness. We now have Arts Madness with Joe's Coat. We call it that in the business. Those of us involved, Joe's Coat. You guys can call it Joe's Coat. Joe's Coat established the month of April as Arts Madness. So yeah, maybe we look at something for next year, or maybe it's every other year. We don't know, but I think it'd be a good idea to have a recap meeting after it's all over, right, Steve? Greg?
We have had a way of, we have collaborated with each other, I feel like, a little bit, in that we just let each other know what we're doing for our season, because you don't want to all be doing a similar show at the similar time. We try not to be right on top of each other. If the opening summer musical for CFCT is happening, we try to move ours so it's not right on top of it. And so I feel like with both Theater UNI and, well, with all the groups, Theater UNI and Gallagher Bluedorn and CFCT and WCP, we try to make sure we're not all doing the same shows at the same time. And so I'm hoping that this particular collaborative effort will now get us to even collaborate further, that we're able to communicate with each other even more and use each other as a resource for a number of different ideas, and that would be great.
And I think you guys have pulled together what many people dreamed about, is that bringing people together from different venues to make something happen that the whole community can share. So and that's why I asked that question, because I would love to be able to see more of this and to be able to help promote it, because it's needed in this time. And let me go to the Winners on Waterloo community, those who have signed in. I don't want to take all the time with the questions, but I do have a final question to ask if nobody else has a question. Hearing none, you see I don't waste time. Hearing none, how can we who are on this network be able to help promote this show? Because I know it's coming up very quickly. And what I'm hearing is Steve said that's 90 to 120 tickets being sold every day, and it's sometime higher. But how can we help move it forward so we can have a sellout show?
Great.
Steve, what you laughing about?
So, no, I mean, share the news. The video I showed lives on the Gallagher webpage. I'm probably showing up in other places too. Share the video. I mean, that's a remarkably talented young man. That's really cool. Talk about collaboration and the power of it. I haven't seen the show, but I already know it's going to be one of the best things I ever saw. Not only because it's talented people, but also because it's talented people that are members of our community. These are people who live next door to you. These are people that have other jobs too, as well as performing jobs or performance linked jobs. And they are making their own time, they're taking their time, they're taking a big chunk out of their lives to create a performance for you. I mean, it's just such a special gift community performers give us. I mean, it's really quite remarkable. And to see the level they're going to achieve this time, based on what I've already seen, it's one of the best shows you've ever seen, done by the people you know. I mean, there's nothing better than that. So share that. Share this as community come to life. I mean, it's awesome. It's what I love about my colleagues. My colleagues who are on this call with us is, that's who they are. They bring these wonderful community performers who some of them go off and perform other places professionally all the time, and here they are performing for us. I mean, it's performance is a remarkable gift, and it's hard work and it's scary. And these people are giving it to us, including my colleagues who are on the screen today. Share that word. Just give them a link to the show and tell them how important it is, and how I'm inspired by it. I hope you guys are too.
Yeah, I like to think of it as the biggest theatrical event the Cedar Valley will see this year. And so it's kind of like this is the one show where you get to see all the groups performing together. That's what's exciting to the cast. That's why they're willing to work all day as a teacher in Allison and then drive down here and be in a show. Or this one woman who's in the show, I know she's got a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old at home in Independence. She drives over here. She also works and comes over. And so people putting in that kind of time because they all feel like this is like the big theatrical event of the year. And so don't miss it.
Outstanding.
I know, don't you just want to go tomorrow? Let's do this.
Any other questions from anybody else in the audience? Then I would like to say thank you guys for presenting and bringing this knowledge forward. And I think this is the first stage of building a better community through collaboration, about bringing the talent together, sharing the talent, and we, the community, is going to be the benefactor of your great work. And so I would like to say thank you to all those who are involved in bringing this project to fruition. And on that note, everybody have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank
Thank
you
you so much.